Donald Trump did another strange interview that I want to take a look at with you. And there's three moments from this that we'll look at. The third is so bizarre, so hold for that one. But the first two are great examples of just without stopping at every moment possible, Donald Trump is spewing conspiracy theories and telling his audience things that are just absolutely not true. And it's dangerous. So take a look at this first moment.
States doing it. And one thing that was shown, Darren, is that the election was rigged and stolen. Because, it's interesting, when 2,000 Mules came out, where they have, nothing but tapes of people stuffing ballot boxes. In all fairness, they have tapes of it, thousands of feet of tapes and, all sorts of terrible things, looking up at the cameras, putting on gloves before they voted after some got caught. And that made an impact. But this whole FBI thing has tenfold made an impact. People that aren't into it like you would be or I would be, people are, they don't know that much about. They're saying, wow, you're right. The election was rigged and stolen. And it was stolen by the government of the United States.
I mean, it's just the only thing that can circulate in his head, even though time and time again, not proven to be the case. The election was not stolen. If you want to be successful in your current presidential run, I would recommend you stop lying about the past election and focus on what could win over voters in the future election. But keep doing your thing, I guess, and you'll lose once again. But the 2,000 Mules part, we've talked about 2,000 Mules just being a joke of a documentary, if you can even call it that. But then I guess the other part, he's referring to the Twitter files, which also has been a confusing experience, watching people read the same text that I'm reading when I go and read the Twitter files and taking away conclusions that just don't at all logically follow what they read. It's very strange because the Twitter files does not reveal that the FBI stole the election from Trump. That's not at all what's going on there. One of the things they got really confused about was people kept saying that Biden used the government to steal the election from Trump, even though Trump was the president and Biden was just a private citizen at that point in time running for president. Very strange, but I guess that's the logic. Next moment from this interview, and then again, continue to hold for that third one because it's definitely the most bizarre.
The January 6th operation. Do you think the full extent of this federal involvement will ever come to light? And why are most Republicans scared to death to touch this particular issue?
Well, they're afraid. Bill Barr was afraid. He thought he was going to be impeached, and he was afraid. And, I understand that, but you can't be afraid. You can't take those positions if you're going to be afraid. He was afraid to go into the election corruption because he didn't want to be impeached. If you look at him 6 months earlier, he was saying very bad things about mail-in ballots and everything else.
Right.
And then all of a sudden he got scared, and he was frightened. I could tell it. I watch him on television now, and he talks like, he sits back and he talks. He was, you can't have it.
So in Trump's mind, the reason why even people who were loyal to him every step of the way were hardcore on his side, the reason why those people even couldn't go along with his election lies was not because the real reason, which is they realized these claims were just not true and not backed up by the evidence, and these lies could be so damaging to our democracy. It was because they were scared to tell the truth. I guess that makes more sense in Trump's head, instead of reevaluating and thinking, why is it that all these people who were loyal to me up until the point that I tried to overturn a democratic election? Maybe it's because those claims you were using to justify those actions were not at all based in fact. Now here's this third moment where it seems he is desperate for admiration from the interviewer about his truths on Truth Social, his messages, equivalent of a tweet, wanting to be told that he's a really good truther. Very strange.
There are those that are saying that Twitter can never be Twitter unless I go back on. I'm very complimented by that, and I only say it because there are about 20 articles about it, that Twitter can never make it if they don't have Trump back on. And if you look at the truths that I put out today and some that are going to be put out momentarily, I think you'll see that, that number one, they're correct. Number two, they're good for the country. And they are pretty well crafted. I must say.
Yes.
But I hope you're going to look at the ones that I just put out. And did you see the ones I put out today, there?
Yes. Yes. No, they're very
good.
good, and we'll get.
There are those that are.
So the truths that he puts out on his social media site are very well crafted. Don't you think so, Darren? Aren't I so good at truthing? It's sad. What's so weird about this is many people, I think, who support Trump see him as this alpha male, so confident, billionaire. But in reality, he's just such an insecure child. And not even, as I sometimes use that type of language, in a really insulting way, just in a pure analysis way. When you watch the way Trump acts, he's so deeply insecure and caught up in kind of childish type status symbols, I guess. Or in this case, wanting to be told that his posts are crafted well. He's really good at sending out those Truth Social posts. Very interesting. And this is the extent of Trump's campaigning. I mean, he's a presidential candidate, so I'm ready to cover things if there are significant aspects of his campaign to cover, but really all we get is an occasional social media video and an occasional interview like this from someone who will support him every step of the way. So that's what we get, and that's what I cover.